order to stop it. He can't get it on the floor because the opposition won't allow it on the floor. So it's not for a lack of effort that things aren't trying to happen in Trenton. I'd be more happy to share this with you after the meeting. You can be more happy. I'll make a copy for you. But you know, this is something that we are forced to do, and if we don't do it, as the deputy mayor said, quickly, our numbers increase, and they could increase exponentially because there are so many moving parts of this. It's almost a full-time job. Dr. Gurwal, understanding this process. That's why we brought in council two meetings ago, just to explain the process, because it's very difficult for most people to understand. But there are actions going on to try to let the market play as the market plays. And this is changing that.
No, I fully appreciate that, and I wish all success to that process. But I'm not suggesting fighting it. What I'm saying is, how do you address it? That's what I'm suggesting.
We're addressing it the only way legally that we can.
I don't think what I'm suggesting is illegal.
Well, yeah, it is.
It is.
Why? Do you have to have, no, what, my point is, do you have to have brand new development to satisfy? It sounds like you need the new development to subsidize the housing, the low-income housing. What I'm saying is we can subsidize it as a town. Consider it, because there's a huge amount of money at stake. You're going to flood the schools, and for the type of numbers we're talking about, it's going to cost the town $3 million a year once it's fully occupied.
Every town, not just
Every
the town.
year.
Every town has the same impact going on.
I'm not refuting that. What I'm saying is, how do you solve the problem? What I'm saying is, how do you, there's enough money that you're saving to do this much more intelligently.
Let's
Yeah.
bring it to Andy Bear's attention and see whether we are.
Yeah, just think about it.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You know, just so you have to understand as well, if we don't do this, what happens is a builder's remedy comes in. Where a builder can come in and put these anywhere he darn well pleases. So, excuse me?
At the density.
At the density. So we have to be careful. It's, as the mayor said, it's an arduous process, and it's going to take us a while, and we're working our way through it the best we can. You know, that's really all I would say. The last thing we want to do is have builders come in and not go ahead. Just have builders come in, and it just happened up the street from me, on a piece of property that was a home, an old home, was knocked down, and a home for Alzheimer's patients was built on a residential area, right up the street, block from my house, on a quiet area. And, you know, things like that happen. And we, at the town, we couldn't do a darn thing about it. And, you know, and it could have very easily been a drug rehab. You know, so this is the way the state works. You know, we either got to abide by it, or we try to fight it, we do the best we can. But, you know, go to, if you think I'm lying, just take a ride down Stillwell, look on the left-hand side, third house in, you'll see it. So, anyway, but we're doing the best we can. I do thank you for your patience, and I hope you understand that we're all in the same boat as you are. You know, this is not something that we want necessarily, but it's something that we're mandated to do by the courts in the state of New Jersey, and you know, we're doing the best we can, and that's, you know, really all I have to say. There's nothing else I can say on that.
Anybody else? Sir?
Dean LaBarca, 23 Miller Avenue.
I'm sorry, so your last name?
LaBarca, 23 Miller Avenue.
Just spell it for her, I'm sorry. Spell it.
Labarca. I'm here to seek help from the town for a potential problem with Hazlitt and the development of a new Holiday Inn. I see several of my neighbors here today. We just got our letters in the mail yesterday, so most of the neighborhood doesn't even know about it yet. And I'm sure other people are going to be annoyed as well. And I'm hoping the town could help us fight this, and maybe even possibly, you know, with some representation over in Hazlitt. The existing Holiday Inn, and I don't know if you got, if any of you have gotten the notice from Hazlitt or anything.
We just got it tonight.
We got it
I got it tonight.
Yeah, just an hour ago.
If I can give you this just quickly, and I did this all in half an hour, so forgive me if it's not. this is just a proposed.
What are they trying to do?
They want to build a second four-story hotel. This is another, this area to the left is the actual hotel.
So I'm staring at the hotel, to the left or to the right?
If you're on Route 35,
Yeah,
it's
away from-
behind the Hazard Pharmacy. And right
Okay.
behind our homes.
Is that much space there?
I
That's
actually
what
have,
Hazlet.
I have some maps from Hasley if you want to look at them.
This is another one. This is actually my home. This is the existing hotel. This is gonna be, they want a four-story hotel. This is all wooded right now. They're gonna take all the woods out.
Did Haslam, I have to ask you this question because I didn't read this, we just got it on our way in.
Okay.
Has this been approved by Haslam yet?
No, they're having on August 17th, I assume that's next Thursday, they're having their hearing where we can voice our opinions. And that's why I'm hoping we can get some representation and some help with this. I want to just give you a brief history of the issues I've already had with the existing hotel the way it is now. And most of us have had these issues. My house specifically backs up right to their parking lot. And I knew it was a hotel when I built my house. I never anticipated the problems I was going to have. And now with this new second hotel they want to build in addition, this is sure to just triple the problems I've had.
Mr. Walker, just can you help us with a couple examples of things that have happened?
Yes, I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you that right now. Okay, first of all, trucks, buses, utility vehicles that park in the hotel parking lot, and they run their generators, refrigerated trucks, and equipment runs 24 hours a day sometimes. And this has been a problem. I've been to Holmdel about a few years ago. I've been to Hazlet. I wasn't able to get any help. Finally, I called the county board of health at the time, and a woman who takes care of noise ordinances, she came down and put a little scare into the Holiday Inn, and he now makes them, instead, they used to park right behind my fence and my neighbor's fences. And you would just, if I may, you would just sit there, even, not just nighttime, on a Saturday afternoon, you try to have a barbecue with your family, and you hear, all day long, diesel fuel. There was a fire one night, and these are all unattended vehicles. A truck went on fire. This was in the middle of the winter a few years ago. I happened to walk down to my kitchen 11:30 at night, maybe almost midnight, and I saw the flames. I called the fire department, and there was a truck with 150 gallons of diesel fuel in it, and the whole cab was on fire. And the timbers were landing on top of my house in the rain in the winter. So this is the kind of stuff I'm dealing with. People in the parking lot arguing, sometimes drunk. There's parties at the restaurant and the hotel, cars screeching tires. One day, on a Saturday afternoon, when my daughter was a little younger, we had a little birthday party for her. And, it was little kids, grandma, grandpa, uncles and aunts. And somebody comes over to my fence and starts screaming and cursing at us because we threw, he claims, I can't use the words, that we were throwing big chunks of asphalt on top of his car. Now, the hotel itself.
That game's not popular anymore? Or,
Excuse me?
No.
The existing hotel, the owner, has been cooperative with the trucks, and he makes them park now between the hotel and the pharmacy, a little more up towards 35, which isn't good at all, but it was better than what I had. But every so often, I have to go into the hotel because a new truck or utility vehicle comes, or a bus, and they sit there and right behind my fence, and it's just the windows vibrate. You can't open your windows in the summer, in the spring. So now he wants to build a 4-story. Now he's seeking all kinds of variances for setbacks and height and everything. But I have to be honest, I'm totally against this completely. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna have the power lines, if that happens, right on the other side of our small neighborhood. I'm gonna have this 4-story building. It's gonna get rid of, where you see that right now is all wooded. There's gonna be no more, it's gonna all go. When I looked at the plans today, it has it, that's how I took that picture and made a copy. It's the only area of the neighborhood in that section that even has any wooded area. It's all gonna be gone. It's gonna be parking lot. And the place he's parking his trucks and stuff for the guests who stay there now is gonna be more of an entrance roadway. Where are they gonna go? They're gonna go right alongside our fences again and disturb us. And we're gonna have, and people are gonna, there's also a privacy issue, lights, people looking out their hotel window right into our backyard while my wife and daughter were taking the sun. The quality of life living behind the hotel was never something I even dreamed it would be that bad. And now it's to the point where they're gonna put up another 4-story hotel. And there's other neighbors here with many problems.
Don, let me ask before, I don't think, honestly, you don't need to go on, and I don't even have to ask everyone on this board, we would support you. What options do we have? Can we appeal to planning board, zoning board, the administration, the other elected officials in
You can
Hazlet?
certainly reach out to your,
To all the elected officials in Hazlet?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a hearing on August 17th, it would be
We could
appropriate
make it,
if you
yeah,
wanted to
whatever.
present a letter.
It's a little bit of a friendly neighbor,
I'd like to do,
same.
if the committee agrees, is to get a letter right out to them,
Yeah.
opposing this project, how it's affecting the quality of life to our
For an
residents.
entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'll have
And
the
then
attorney
we'll
draft
follow it
that.
up, and I have to check my calendar, but I'm available on the 17th.
Yeah, 7:30.
At 7:30?
August 17th.
All right, we can, if I'm free, if I have nothing going on tonight, I will go, and we will join you and voice our opposition publicly. And we all can call the town fathers of Hazlet and express our individual concerns as well. So we can start that way. I mean, I'd like to start that way and see where we go from there.
Another thing would be obvious, the value of the homes, having a building.
Yeah, we're gonna build that all into this, Donna's gonna, no, she doesn't know it yet.
And because I used to
Attorney's
try-
gonna do it.
Yeah, the attorney's gonna do it.
I believe in them.
We'll handle it.
Listen, at the end of the day, we can't say yes or no, but we can all certainly, and we will, give you total support on this. This is a no-brainer, this is a stupid project, it would be a real infringement on your lifestyle, so.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was at one time I went to the Hazard Township and they said they had no control over that. Well, I wanted them to put up like a privacy wall to separate that from the neighborhood. And you're gonna spend, how many millions building a hotel? Where's a
That is a wall that
20-foot?
makes sense.
But even if there was a privacy wall, you would still need, I don't just want their variances to be downgraded, I don't want it to exist at all. It's just,
Bonnie, I just want to say something.
Yeah, I want to say, since I'm at every Holmdel planning board meeting, make sure that you and your neighbors go to the meeting and present this information.
Yes.
Anything any photos you have, any exhibits, the way the process works is there'll be a time where public can ask questions of the representatives, and there's also a time you can present evidence. So bring all this, because the board will take that into consideration. If you're not there, the board doesn't have this information.
well, my plan is to do that, and I didn't know if that was something I can get somebody from the committee or even a legal representation there to help us with this. I don't know.
I think what you need to do is get your resident, the other residents from the Miller Avenue area and surrounding area if need be, to go and support it. And again, I'll check my calendar. I would definitely go if I'm available. And I don't know yet.
And like Bonnie was saying, it's an evidentiary hearing, they have a burden of proof, and if you bring in evidence that goes against that, you're contributing to the legal record, and so if there's people there who are able to speak to, the conditions you're speaking of, it's important that you get that in the record, so.
Now, do they decide right then and there that night? Like, that would be the end of it?
Given the complexity of this application, I'd
Maybe a whole
have
bunch of
Unlikely.
parents is probably not.
And the bigger the crowd you have, the less likely you'll be able to vote, so bring it.
Okay. So,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Donna, I know I'm going out of order here, but it's just something in that just reminded me. I did look at other towns. Can we begin the process of finding abandoned houses? I had brought that up before, $1,000 a day, $1,500 a day. I like it to be extreme. Again, it is a real pet peeve of mine. I'm seeing abandoned houses in Holmdel. I'd like to have a fine to put significant pressure on the banks to resolve the issue.
My house might be abandoned in 6 months. Because I'm not gonna be able to sell it.
Yeah, that's something that me and the attorney are working on,
All right, thank
and
you.
we will have some
I just
answers for you
forgot to
shortly.
bring it up.
Yeah, thank you for.
Come on, Carol.
Oh.
Carol Bomber, 96 Middletown Road. Mr. LaBarca, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a provision in the municipal land use law that if you get a protest, there's a certain amount of percentage of property owners adjoining that property, okay? You can have better legal standing to go before the planning board when they go before this. It's called a protest provision, and I can give you the information of that after the meeting if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay. Just for clarification, I'm concerned and confused on exactly how many units do we have to build to satisfy how many units required for COA?
Donna?
Our obligation is 297.
And
And the way it's broken out in Exhibit A, it involves 100 units of existing controls, 15 beds that are already existing at the Stillwell Group Home. Meridian Assisted Living will be 11 beds, that's already in the
Bottom
project.
line, that's what she's looking for.
Yeah.
About 110.
There's 110 units we have to build.
But these aren't newly constructed, some are already in existence.
All right, wait a minute.
About 110.
110
Yeah.
future units,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Carol,
Okay,
that's it.
and how many units to offset them that the developer has to make money on to build those 110 units?
Well,
This goes about 400.
about 400.
So 400 on top of the 110?
Roughly 1 to
No.
4. No, inclusive of.
Inclusive of?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to follow up on Pradeep's suggestion, there are towns that are building their own Mount Laurel, and they are doing it either through ordinances, where they, if you would come in for the planning board and you need variances or waivers or whatever, if they come in for applications, they will donate like 2 acres of land or whatever, that they can build that inclusionary zoning within the new developments. Now, wait a minute, let me finish, please, okay? And as far as...
Do they have CCCP
Can I
on
finish?
the house?
Can I
Okay,
finish?
I'm just curious.
Can I finish? please?
Sure.
Okay. Also, I brought this up at a previous meeting as well. There are conditions that require these Mount Laurel units. They have to have infrastructure, they have to have sewers, they have to have city water. They cannot be built in environmentally sensitive areas, which we go to Palmer Square again, okay? Or Palmer Avenue. Basically, in that legal back and forth between the residents and the township and the courts, et cetera, they were building on environmentally sensitive lands. You can't put that type of building on environmentally sensitive lands. It's right there in the code regulations, okay? Now we go again to Monmouth Conservation. You hire Monmouth Conservation to do an analysis of lands in town that are green acres and public space and all that. Will Monmouth Conservation also do the ERI, which I also brought up at a previous meeting, Environmental Resource Inventory, on the lands that are actually available, that are not environmentally constrained, that do not have the sewer or city water accessibility? Are you going to be using that in your defense or arguments with COA?
We've been using it, and we're not going to get to the litigation piece of it, but I must tell you this. They don't care any longer about the sewers. They will make the builder or the town, let's assume that I'm not saying this is in the plan, okay? What's that property, no, the one on top of the, Potter, okay?
Potter.
Okay? There's no sewers there.
Yes, there are, behind
No.
Country Woods, they put
Make-
them in.
No.
There's accessibility.
The sewer is on Winchester, all the way down the street. So,
No, they're in Country
yeah, I'm
Woods.
telling you.
too.
Not all over country.
No,
roads.
they're not,
No.
Carol.
Okay.
Anyway, make long story. Anyway, that's a,
Just use an
we're just using an example. right?
Okay.
If the state says you need X amount of units, they have now, it's my interpretation of the law, that the not sewer is no longer in play, because they will make you tap into that sewer a half mile away, just so you can meet that obligation. Okay, now, regarding the towns, and Donna, we all have this, we've contacted every town in Monmouth County. There's not one Monmouth County town that's building their own COA units. So if you have a town somewhere in New Jersey, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to contact them, see how they're doing it.
Right.
But again, we have a list of all 53 towns. You know what towns don't have COA units? Not responsible for? Asbury Park, Long Branch.
Well, they have all that affordable
Yeah,
housing.
well, there you go. I think they're the 2 out of the 53 towns that don't have an obligation. Constant. Their obligation is 1,000. 1,000.
Now,
And you talk about no sewers? There's a town I lived in, it doesn't have one sewer. They have 1,000 obligation, because they didn't meet their second round. So I'm telling you, it's a circus with this stuff that's
Okay,
going on.
I'm under the impression that Colts Neck has 397 units that they need.
For this round.
For this round, they didn't meet
And
the last one.
they didn't meet the last round.
Yes, so those numbers that the deputy mayor is speaking about were the numbers that were provided initially. They may have a settlement agreement, much like we have, that might be a bit lower. We're not privy to that yet, just like the rest of them, but they do have an obligation.
Yeah.
Well, I know they have an obligation, but I didn't think it was 1,000.
Yeah.
I thought it
Well,
was
again,
that was their initial, yes.
If their initial, they could do the same thing we did. They maybe
Correct.
jumped on 30% or 20%, and
Okay.
it worked out to 600.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right, well, I just would like you to keep an open mind and look at some of the creative aspects of how you could put those Mount Laurel units into an inclusionary development, into developments that are going in where you don't have to have that offset of the developer making all this money by giving us Mount Laurel.
Carol, believe me, we'll do everything we can. I told you, the 5 of us up here, but that's all I'm going to say on
And
that.
I'm glad
I'll
you-
get myself in trouble with the attorney.
I'm glad you're getting Monmouth Conservation involved, but again, please have them look at the environmentally sensitive lands, the lands that are actually buildable and accessible, okay? Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, look who's back. Archie Malonis, 2 Brook Way. Hello, how are you? 2 questions, and I don't want to bog everything down here. By the way, I commend everybody that there is a plan. That's a good thing. At least something written down. As a high-level question, how baked is it? Is it, are the lots associated with these?
Did you say baked?
Baked.
Baked.
B-A-K-E.
Okay.
How baked is it?
How well baked is it? Are the lots in these locations actually identified?
Yes, these have to be realistic properties that we have to present to the court, so we can't just arbitrarily say somewhere on Route 35. There has to be, there's a specific lot and block associated with these
And
developments.
how can we find that out from?
I don't know that that's something that.
Yeah, the
I think-
problem
because
is
this
at this
isn't-
stage,
yeah, this is
we're
really
approving the document you see. It's not approved and it's still the subject of ongoing litigation until the court approves it, which is a process in and of itself, so.
But I think what Archie's maybe asking is there diagrams of the finished product? No, you're not asking that? That was the baking part, maybe I was thinking.
Yeah, I wanted to know what stage we're in. I mean, have the lots been identified?
No.
No, the lots,
The lot numbers?
the lot.
I mean,
Like a picture.
you see how we get to the number, that's all that's being
So
approved right
all we
now.
know is there's somewhere on Palmer Avenue, north of 35, there's going to be a,
Right, that's what's available.
And
for
somewhere
public
on
consumption
Weir
right now.
Street.
Correct.
But you don't know exactly where yet.
Exactly where on the lot, no.
Okay.
No one, even the builders, developers don't want to spend money until they know, right? They could spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing something that maybe the court doesn't approve. I mean, there's so many moving parts with this. Let's say Brian that gets his votes and he freezes this thing and it freezes indefinitely. This whole thing's off, right? So we do an exercise in futility. It's not moving anywhere.
Mayor, you'll never get the Democrats to go along with them.
Okay, so there's got a ways to go. You're not ready to put
Absolutely.
shovels in
Correct.
in the ground. So after this is approved, then you'll look for the particular lots and do the zoning and.
In front of
And
planning
that's not
board.
until the court approves this, which our COA council doesn't expect for at least 6 months.
So it's not 2017.
And then after that, the township would then proceed to the zoning that accompanies the plan.
Okay,
So
so
we're looking at
identifying
a
lots and,
years-long process.
Okay, thanks.
Good.
Barbara Singer, 43 Azimuth Court. With respect to the COA housing, I first off want to say I appreciate that these units are spread out. That was the one thing I came here several times to speak about, was not having one building like had been proposed next to Palmer Square. That's just low and no income housing. So I give a thumbs up to spreading this around for societal purposes. I just want to, I'm trying to understand the last conversation that was had here. We do know what lots we're talking about. Right, when you say Palmer Avenue, you have a specific lot or two in mind.
Yes, where on the lot?
Right.
What type of plan? We don't have that.
Okay, that I wouldn't, expect. But we do know which lots, because like Route 35, you said Route 35, which lots a lot open, because there's so much space there.
Yeah.
So I think maybe some people are wanting to know, specifically where on Route 35, specifically where on Palmer, and that information wasn't here. And again, to the number of units overall, do we know how many acres are each of these proposed sites?
If you're asking about density on these properties, if that's what you're
Yeah,
going
is there a
to.
ratio, do we know?
Yeah, what we've attempted to do, and again, there's nothing definite, nothing in stone, but the engineer has suggested a ratio, what was it, 12 to 8 to 16 or something, Bonnie, I think. So all those are within the ratio that has been suggested by the engineering firm.
With 12 to 16 units per acre?
Yes, I think that's our ratio, somewhere.
I don't remember what that was.
Yeah, something like that.
Something
This has come up, so yeah,
It was something like
so we had some proposals that was, 20 to 1 that we totally, objected to. So we'll be consistent with the density that's being utilized throughout the town.
That's not the density at Palmer Square, though, not to be argumentative with you. Palmer Square has a ratio of 7 units per acre.
I don't.
And that to me is like a development here that has low income housing where this all works well. So I find that overall this plan is extremely dense. I mean, now you're talking almost double what's at Palmer Square. And if the lot next to Palmer Square is going to be that dense, that's going to be a mess. Palmer Square.
Yeah, but we're not saying that. We don't know what it's gonna be. It might be 7 or what it might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you understand you're saying this is all flexible.
It's also something for the planning board too. Again, nothing's set in stone. This is just
Yeah, my concern is, you present this to Judge Perry, and like you said, this has to be a realistic plan of something that's doable, and the developers are gonna come back and say, hey, you put this before the court, you settled, you had the judge, you presented this as a reasonable
I hope we presented as a
agreement,
reasonable
like,
plan.
right, but
We
then
wouldn't
if
do
you're
it
gonna
anyway.
try to cut back your ratio to half of what you're now talking to the developers
Listen.
about, you're gonna have a tough time negotiating
The
this
bo- the
down.
bottom, the bottom line is this, okay, cut and dry, let's put all the cards on the table. We need 110 new units, okay?
Right.
We've identified a number of properties, 4 or 5, whatever's in, whatever it is. And the ratio goes down to 10 to 1, maybe we need to add, not if we even could at that point, we probably can't, I don't even know, to add more properties, I don't know. So, we're real flexible at this point, we just, bottom line is we need 110 units.
No, I get
And,
you're
whether it's
flexible,
10 to an
saying.
acre, or 12 to an acre, or 8 to an acre, that all remains to be seen. So, I don't like to talk generalities or suppositions or maybes. I think until we know exactly where we're going, we'll be better informed, and therefore you'll be better informed. Listen, I think the committee's been out front. We had a professional in, talked to the public, it was advertised. It's when people showed up, something we've been talking about, over and over again. And, we're doing our best, again, we all are residents of Holmdel. We all include, every one of us, and we all want the best for our town, our kids, and in my case, my grandkids. So, we're gonna do what we can, Barbara, and I think you know that. You've been coming around for a long time now, so I think you know how we operate. And,
I do, I'm
I-
just
yeah.
more concerned down the road that, and I understand now you're up against a deadline, and it's kind of hard to go change this, but because it's being done at this late stage, we're now in a situation where we're making representations to the court of that this is something that we think is realistic and okay, and you're gonna have trouble negotiating with a developer now.
I'm
and
gonna,
that's- you
I
know,
mean, you're
then so
entitled to
my-
your take.
yeah.
I would just say, I think any court at this point, if they can clear a COA case, they're going to hopefully clear it. I think the township's worked very hard to make this a realistic presentation when it is presented to the court. And truthfully, Fair Share is basically trying to settle this case so that they can get other towns to then settle their case at a less favorable number. So by going at it at this point, Holmdel is benefiting itself, possibly to the detriment of other towns where they're going to be looking to put more units.
Maybe. And I, just one more question that just came up. Now, you were talking about the sewers and the septic, because at the last meeting we had when we were talking about this, septic was stated to be one of the reasons why we don't have to do so many COA units, but now you're saying that there
Septic has nothing to do with our code units.
No, that
We have an
was-
obligation.
No, I understand, but we were talking about how do they come up with the number of COA units for each different towns? Why did it vary so much? And one of the reasons we were given why the number was lower in Holmdel than in other towns was because we have so much septic. Now,
Lack of
you're...
sewers.
I don't know what.
Lack of sewers.
Right, we have lack of sewers. That was, it's
It's
on the tape.
Yeah, it's one of the factors that go
Right.
into the.
But now you're...
But it's not the end all be all.
Right.
End all,
Something-
yeah.
Right, but now you're saying they're actually willing to tell us two stores?
Well, Coles Neck doesn't have any sewers.
It's fair share.
Not one.
That's a different
How's it a different
example,
story?
because they can't say,
Now
oh,
we're
whole
gonna- now we're
town.
gonna pick and choose. Well, they have no sewers, so, but they got 1,000 units. But, you know.
If
let's-
their share could, they would develop every bit of open space and
That's-
green space in the
thank you,
town.
Donna. Right,
I
thank
mean, one of the rumors is that they take aerials, and when they see green space, they say, up, developable, and they add that to our inventory. So it's kind of, not appropriate to kind of guess it's sewer, it's septic, it's just fair share, just wants to develop as much as they can.
There's so
That's
many
the bottom line.
variables.
Our peers in Bergen County pulled a meeting together with multiple towns and mayors. Shepshe was the assembly person up there, and they invited COA Fair Share to come to the meeting and explain to them and the residents how they come up with these numbers. They wouldn't come. So they do it in secret, they won't share information with us, and they hold you to guidelines that they hold over your head with a court, saying, if you don't do it, we'll go to court, builder, developer win, and you're gonna have to live with whatever decision they make on your behalf.
Barbara, I'm
It's
gonna
very frustrating to not be able to get
be, gonna be
answers.
tongue in cheek right now, but maybe you can get some of your Democratic friends in the legislature to vote with Pramick and kill the COA. Because they're the ones that are for it.
Gotta talk to everybody, right?
Just need 60.
I believe in communicating with everyone.
There you go.
know that. So my last question, as it's going through this process, you talked about other hearings. Are there hearings down the road that we will be able to attend outside of Holmdel on this issue?
Outside of Holmdel, you mean other
Yeah.
towns co-op?
No, just with respect to Holmdel's
I mean, this is,
obligation when it goes.
it's a Superior Court case. I mean, when the fairness hearing is being scheduled, I mean, you could certainly partake in open court. I mean, that's where the next step will be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, my name is Gail Rubin, and I live at 26 Miller Avenue, and I'm a little short. Okay.
You can take it out of there if it's easier to.
It's all right. Well, I have the copy of, whoop, I guess I'm gonna take it. I have a copy of the letter the neighborhood got. You have that? Does everyone have that?
The
Has
public
it made a
notice.
copy?
Township,
Yeah.
land use board.
And
just
then
ordered
I
that.
went to Hazlet and I looked at the maps. So I suggest if you're gonna go to the meeting, you take a look at the maps. I spent $15 on 3 maps. I have them here if you wanna look at them. The main one, I went to Holmdel upstairs, I guess the zoning department, and she said get the zoning notes. So I have the zoning notes, and they're breaking almost, a lot of variances, which the thing shouldn't be built at all, especially a second hotel when Hazlet has, I can't tell you how many properties are empty on their highway. So I'm wondering, why would Hazlet, want to build another hotel when they have the Best Western,
They might not want
the Holiday Inn, the Holiday Inn, what
They
they
might-
want to do
they
is to
might
put
not
the
want
Best
to.
Western out.
Honestly, they might
Right.
not want to.
Well, I
We
did
don't
give-
know.
I
Have you-
did give a copy of the letter I got to Best Western, and I said, maybe you'd want to go to the meeting, because I don't think they would want this built. I also gave a copy to the Short Point Inn, which is a little hotel, I don't know if they care, but he said he'd give it to his boss, because this is the 3rd hotel, right? Plus Holmdel has a hotel. There's enough
Holmdel.
hotels. Right. So we're good hotel area on 35, lots going on in our town and other towns. Okay, so, all right, so anyhow. Yeah, and then I am wondering, why do they need a second building? What are they doing with that first building? What are they gonna do with, I don't know, maybe he's gonna sell the first building, and then there's a chance, like the other Hazlet properties, that both buildings will go out. And you'll have another, all right.
You have to
anyhow.
understand that professionals who own, they can try to do anything they want. Doesn't mean the town wants it or doesn't want it. For all we know, Hazlet doesn't want this. All I can tell you is as Holmdel elected officials, 100%, based on what I read here, I don't even have to ask the other guys here. I don't have to ask Tom Fratelli. We're all gonna make a phone call. We're all gonna support this not happening because it's bad. It's bad for Holmdel, it's bad for Monmouth County, it's bad for Route 35. The last thing we need is another junk motel hidden behind another hotel. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, well, two things I would suggest. Look at the maps, because that, they have like 10 pages. I can only afford 3, because they charge 10 for the first, 5 for the others copies. So look at, their maps at Town Hall before the meeting next Thursday.
Right.
And
Just give it to our mayor, he'll read it.
our neighborhood has, I'm gonna tell you, a water flood problem. Almost all the houses have sump pumps. Plus, in my neighbor's backyard, like, I don't know how many, there's a sewer line along the backyard. It doesn't go up to mine. When I moved in, I asked Holmdel to extend the sewer in the backyard, and they said, oh yeah, if you dig 6 feet along your whole backyard, we'll put the pipe in. And I wasn't willing to have my husband dig 6 feet or pay someone to dig 6 feet along my whole backyard, so I don't have the pipe. So when it rains heavy, there is water there. So, and I think there's an underground stream somewhere, so, all right, that's another reason. You might want to use the flood thing. And
Just
look at
make
the
sure
maps.
you use it.
What?
Make sure you go to that meeting.
Oh,
and
I'm
talk about
going.
that.
I'm here.
Yeah. But I'm saying,
I have
but you
to be
talk
here.
about that as well.
Yeah.
And, Bonnie said it best,
The planning-
strength in numbers.
The planning board cannot take letters or petitions. They have to have the person there to provide the testimony so you can be cross-examined.
Yeah.
So providing letters or petitions are not gonna help. You've gotta be there.
Yeah, well, you're lucky you have this many neighbors here tonight, because we just got the letter yesterday, right? Nobody slept last night, let's put it that way. And they don't even tell the back of the neighborhood, with letters, Orchard Avenue. And I'm gonna tell, we have too many problems between transmission lines in the back of our neighborhood and this in the front. It's like, when do you give up? That's how I feel. And Jersey's the
time's up.
#1
Thank
state
you.
to move out of, so.
Yeah, your time's up.
Right.
Thank you.
It's really a little too much to bear. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
your support. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
You're lucky you got
What else?
Anyone from the public?
Hey, I'm John Sardo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just go to my gas.
John Sardo from Giordano, Honor and C-Slip. We represent MFC Real Estate Development, who's the contract purchaser of the Potter Farm and an intervener in the affordable housing case. So I'm here obviously to speak about Agenda 8M.
Just speak
and-
up.
Sure. So we object to the resolution that's proposed in so much as it doesn't include the Potter Farm property. One thing I'd just like to state as well is that it is in the sewer service area.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it, thanks.
Anyone else in the public? None being said, I'll move to close.
Motion adjourned. Second.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming out.